Matthew Blevins. I grew up white trash in Nebraska City, Nebraska. Okay, so I'm gonna come clean right now. I didn't realize this was supposed to be a comedy show. I thought this was a public access cooking show. I have no idea, like, we're doing comedy, I guess, so that's fun. Julia Child? Okay, so even though I'm not, fully familiar with comedy, my favorite thing in the world is when I told my kids something and they did not believe me, but then, like, karma and the universe proves them so totally wrong that I get to keep my father points for one more day. That's the only thing that makes me happy in life. Well, I guess I'm not going to make the meal that I had brought with me, so I'll try my best to do comedy, I guess.
Thank you guys for being here tonight. How you guys doing? All right. It's good to be here. Thank you guys so much for coming out tonight. We got a great show for you. You guys ready for your comedian? All right, this guy you're about to see, you can see him all over the country. He's been at multiple Funny Bones. He's been at Zany's in Nashville. He's an all-around great guy. Please make it nice and loud in here for the hilarious Matthew Blevins, everyone.
Keep it going for your host, Noe. Heck yeah. Oh, it feels good to be back in KPAO land here. I haven't stood on this stage for 1 year, and I remembered that the last time I was on this stage, I got myself uninvited from Thanksgiving. So, season 2, baby. Let's see. I'm ready to burn some bridges like a Confederate Civil War general right now. Just standing on the hilltop. Burn that one down, sir. I didn't plan to do a Civil War general when I stood up here just now. I apologize for that riff. I did not intend to. That wasn't even my jokes. Let's get right into it. I'm a dad, and yeah, I invented this new game. It's called Lying to My Children. It takes a while to score. So the way it works is for every lie that you can convince your children of all the way into adulthood, that's going to be worth 1 point. My mom, she's the greatest of all time at this game. My mom called me up the other day and she said, "Hey, guess what? Your dad's not really your dad and you're not really Mexican. 2 points, bitch. Click." I've been out here stealing Mexican valor this whole time. And Mom pulled the old white trash okey doke. That's what happened. What that is when a white girl would get knocked up in high school and then find a Mexican guy who didn't mind a big belly, which, as our host can confirm, that's most of them. And then you trick them into raising a baby with you. That's what you do. Now, white women could get away with this in the 80s. But then Maury Povich came along and screwed it up for everybody. I had to wander around all my family reunions wondering why I was the only one that got sunburns every year. My grandma once called me a pussy because of my lack of spice tolerance. That's... I'm a systems administrator by day, which you're like, we can kind of tell. It's like, you look like an IT guy for a motorcycle club, really, but... I got into IT because I was trying to find antivirus software that would get rid of all the crap that my family left in my head. I haven't found anything that works yet. My brothers all tried whiskey. All they got out of that was child support payments. So that's... Oh man, I'm excited. My teenagers, they're starting to get jobs now, which is really cool because I thought, you know what? I got a job when I was a teenager, and that's where I got my work ethic. And then I remembered, I don't have a work ethic. It took me roughly 2 weeks to write this joke idea down in a notebook because my notebook was all the way downstairs. That's... The only thing that I learned from my high school job was like 3 ways to get high in a kitchen. That was... My parents weren't much help. They didn't know what to do with me. They're like, we support what you're doing, but we're going to be over here doing something else. That was... Yeah, but... You know, it was one of those deals where you're excited because your kids are starting to grow up and they're starting to develop personalities and they're starting to act exactly like you do, which is the most terrifying thing that I could possibly think of. No, like this is absurd. You don't want people, like, I made all these mistakes so that someone else wouldn't, and then I just put those genetics and thoughts into little children and then put them into the world. I'm an idiot. Oh my goodness gracious. You know, I'm stalling for time because I forgot all of my jokes. That's just a little inside baseball. If you do 2 Boilermakers like right before you get on stage, I'm happy with the way it's going, you guys. I mean, because you guys are awesome. That's super fantastic. But I went all around the South with that work ethic I was talking about and did like my comedy in front of people all over the South, and just so I could be prepared for you guys tonight. Yeah, and here we are. Here's the thing, guys, is I'm an IT guy by day, and I'm a stand-up comedian by night. It's like I'm a superhero, but only my alter ego has any useful skills whatsoever. Like by day, I can fix your printer, I can help you with IT problems, but by night, I'm a Captain Dick Joke. Talking about my problems in any microphone that I can get my hands on. I haven't even told my employers that I'm a comic. I drove all the way from Nashville today, just took a day off from work. They have no idea where I am. I'm not going to tell them I'm a comic until I'm too important to fire. That's... I was a film critic for a number of years back in the day, you guys. Yeah, I know. I don't think that deserves any kind of response either. That's... Like, when I was a film critic in 2011, if I told someone, hey, I'm a film critic, they would just throw pennies at me. That was... I've seen over 4,000 movies. That does not deserve applause. That just signifies that I didn't get laid until I was like 23. That's all that... Well, what it was is when I was a teenager, I would watch HBO all night long, just in the hopes I could find anything to masturbate to. Just one thing. And sometimes they would just play great movies all night. So I got blue-balled and tricked into being cultured. That's what happened. So why on earth would I go from film critic to stand-up comedian? Like, I'm just trying all the things that people hate most. Like, I might work for the IRS next year. Well, let's see how that goes. Well, what happened was I'd always wanted to be a stand-up comedian, always. When I was 4 years old, I'd be watching Evening at the Improv and just watch these comics. I didn't even understand what they were talking about, but I wanted to be whatever they were doing. I knew that. But then I would like think about ideas and write them down and think, if I ever do comedy, one day I'll say this on stage. And then I thought, I'm never going to have the guts to stand in front of people and do that, so I can just disregard that thought. But then sometime in like 10 years ago, I got really sick. Basically, they diagnosed me with carcinoid tumors. They were these, supposedly they were microscopic tumors, and they would secrete serotonin into my body and basically just cause pain and nausea all the time, and I was just sick for years, okay? I spent the entire year of 2014 in the hospital. Every day I would go in twice a day, I would get a shot in my stomach and just move on. By the time that year was over, I decided I ran out of fear. So now you guys get to listen to me tell jokes. That's why I'm here. I feel so much better now, though, that I think they got the diagnosis wrong. I think what I was dealing with was just a bad case of marriage. Like my body took that till death do us part note. And it's like, well, I guess we're going to have to kill you to get out of this. That's... I just went and got me a prescription for divorce instead. That was so much more effective. Yeah, well, the problem is okay, so I had this bad habit. I didn't go to a lot of parties, hence that 4,000 movie thing. But when I would go to a party, okay, I would find one person who was willing to talk to me, and then I would just change my personality to be like that person. One time I did that so well that I ended up married to her for 11 years. That's... And then that lady, she ended up canoodling with more river folk than a lady of ill repute in a Mark Twain novel. That's just the fancy way I came up with to say that she slept with dudes on a pontoon boat that one time. That was... But now I'm happily remarried. Because, yeah. Because I don't learn my lesson, apparently. That's... Actually, my new wife, she's great. The only problem that we have is that we're both writers. And so when we get into an argument, it goes right into email. Like, we're the only married couple whose entire fight history has like a bibliography section. That's... But don't come at me with some bullshit sources. She tried to prove a point with something from a libertarian message board the other day. And I'm like, listen, lady, you've just lost every fight that we're ever going to have. Trying to calculate if I just pissed off a libertarian in here. It's everywhere I go. Every time I say the joke about libertarian, some libertarian gets butthurt about it. Why don't you cry into a ham radio about it, you pussy? This is fun. My new wife, she'll do this crazy thing where whenever I go somewhere and she knows that someone that we both know is going to be there, she'll say, "Hey, tell them I said hi." I've never once told anyone.
How would she know?
She won't know. she just won't. I'll come home and yeah, I totally just said hi to that person. Because here's my problem, is that I left the home to get away from you people and to have a good time, and now you're prescribing me social anxiety homework, and I don't feel like doing it. Plus, in my family, tell them I said hi, that never meant tell them I said hi. It always meant that person owes me money. And I want them to remember that I exist. That's... I talk a lot of trash about my childhood, but it wasn't all bad. We had some good moments in there, like 2. We went to Disneyland one year. That was exciting. We didn't fly out there, though. We went in a camper, and not a good camper. This wasn't one of those fancy RVs that you drive. This is a camper shell that's slapped onto the back of an old pickup with just duct tape and pure white trash hope that it would hold together long enough for all the children to make it there alive. We all got ringworm on that trip. It's like the worst game of Oregon Trail you've ever heard of. We spent 3 days at Circus in Las Vegas on our way to Disneyland. I didn't have any fun as a child, but I can only assume the adults were having the time of their lives. I had spent the entire summer that year rounding up couch cushion pennies and recycling cans and trying to save up enough money to buy my own Disneyland souvenir when we got there. And I managed to scrounge up $20, which was a lot of money for me back then. I checked my bank account. That's a lot of money for me right now. But when we got to that Disneyland gift shop and I picked out my gift, I watched my dad take that gift and shove it up his shirt and walk out the front door of the Disneyland gift shop with it. So I'm assuming that my $20 disappeared somewhere, in Vegas. One can only assume. Which I heard a few ahs in there, like it's sad. And I think it is sad. But I got the most important lesson about fatherhood that I've ever received in that moment. Because I would do a lot of things for my kids, but I would not take an ass beating from a guy in a Goofy costume for shoplifting from Disneyland. That's... I don't know if I can ever show my children that kind of love. I don't... But yeah, anybody here old enough to have played the original Nintendo, the NES? There are a couple people in here that are as old as I am.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember there was always one controller that was slightly janky? It never quite worked right? You'd make your little brother use that one. But then there would always be one autistic cousin in the trailer park. And that kid could take that broken controller and just destroy everyone on Super Mario Brothers. It was like everything that was broken about this kid was like perfectly tailored for this broken controller. I feel as though my soul is that autistic cousin, and it chose this broken controller to get it through life. I may not always get the flag on that first jump. Oh, man. That's what I get. I wanted to come up here. I wanted to have a profound thought, you know. I was like, I remember watching all these stand-up comedians growing up, and I'd be like, they'd have these profound thoughts. And I thought, one day if I ever do comedy, I'm going to have a profound thought too. And then, you know. Then I remember, oh yeah, I went to ITT Technical Institute. I got my degree in computers and stuff. That's literally what it says on my diploma. Computers and stuff. I minored in Mountain Dew flavors, for God's sake. I'm just saying is that if you went to the mall perfume kiosk of colleges, you don't get to have profound thoughts. Then I had a friend tell me one day, he's like, don't feel so bad, man. Maybe you don't get to have the profound thoughts, but you're raising the next generation of profound thinkers. And then I remembered, one of my kids asked me what kind of meat was in the chicken Alfredo. I'm not raising the next Henry David Thoreau. I did tell her that that the meat was tuna, which makes sense because that's the chicken of the sea, you know. So if I can get her to continue believing that the meat in chicken Alfredo is tuna, I figure in 2 more years that's going to be worth 1 point, you guys. Listen, you guys have been a fantastic crowd. Give it up for yourselves for coming out and supporting live comedy here at KPAO. And give it up for your host, Noe Ramirez. Thank you so much.